And then I got something else to say. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Okay. First of all, it's been 2 weeks since a very tragic event in Nashville. We've all been touched in some way or another in talking to people at this table. So before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to have a little moment of silence to remember the 6 people who lost their lives, especially 3 innocent 9-year-old children. And it's a very sad day, but let's just take a moment of silence to remember those. And then the other thing I'd like to say is, the Metro Police is part of our commission as per the charter, and we want to, words have already been said, but, we'll make a point if you would relay to Chief Drake and all the officers involved our thanks and appreciation from this commission, and we appreciate all that y'all do to help with the public safety that's under our purview and other items as well. So thank you.
Thank you to our first responders, especially the police.
Yeah. Well, I think, Sonny, you said your brother-in-law worked at Station 20, right by the event. So everyone here at this table I know has some connection, and we all have friends. So the other item is Commissioner Adams. I understand you've been reappointed. Congratulations. 5 more years of a party. All right. And then I'm like to move for today's agenda. And one note is we're going to move item 7.01 up to the first item on the agenda because there's 2, our council member here and council member Rutherford are here. As we all know, they have to get downtown today. So I ask for approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
We have a first and a second. All in favor? Then I ask for approval of the minutes of the March 13, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor? It has been approved. Okay. So the first item we'd like to consider is 7.01, which is presentation of lowering the posted speed limits on local residential streets within the GSD. I know Councilmember Rutherford is here. Welcome. Staff?
Yeah, we have a map up to show you kind of the streets that are affected in the GSD that are in blue. Most of these streets, the context is either, well, mostly in the GSD would be suburban. Some of the rural locals that were long and operated more like a collector, we did not include, but your neighborhood streets where kids play in the street and that type of context was lowered to 25. We did do some analysis from the lowering of the streets speed limits in the USD in all regions of Davidson County, and we did compare those USD streets to GSD streets, and we did notice a drop in the speed limit, which was encouraging. Just, even just a few miles per hour is a huge difference just to post a different speed limit. So the recommendation from staff is to do the same for the GSD, and let's move forward to Vision Zero.
Yes, Chair. This is Brad Freeze from Nashville DOT. I wanted to emphasize Vision Zero. I mean, this is something that we've talked about as part of our Vision Zero efforts. It will have a great great impact on our neighborhood traffic calming program as well when we lower this speed limit. So the numbers that we get actually qualify more streets for that program. So that's another benefit of this. You know, this committee actually did that for the USD years ago. So this is a very positive step we'd like the commission to consider.
So, yeah, what's the next steps to move
Yeah,
forward with this?
it's very similar to what you all did for the USD. You approved the draft resolution and gave your blessing, and then that goes before council for one reading, and then we're done. Except we have to do a lot of signing and marking on our end. The fiscal note should be smaller because there were less streets that were impacted. So it's probably a third or quarter of the cost. So,
Councilman Rutherford, did you want to speak to this? Yes, please come forward. State your name for the record, please.
Been working on it. And so I ask for your every consideration. And appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you.
just one more thing, we did meet with all the council members affected by this, and so everybody was supportive. Everybody wanted a co-sponsor, actually even sponsor if John Rutherford John dropped out. So it was good to hear that feedback.
All right, so do we need a motion to move this forward?
Can I ask, just,
Yes.
can you remind me what we're dropping it to? Is it 25?
Yeah, 30 to 25.
Yes, council member.
Thank you so much. I want to commend Councilman Rutherford. I really do appreciate that. I, as well, was a lead co-sponsor on the initial legislation to change that in the USD. This was something that was recommended as a policy recommendation in the initial walk and bike strategic plan. This was elevated by Councilman O'Connell and myself, also as part of the Vision Zero planning process. Interestingly, I already have draft legislation to do this very thing and had also been asking NDOT about it. So I am fully in support of this. We are all on team street safety. I would ask the commission and the department to kind of think about and be mindful about, and we've talked about this before, the pathway for policy, whether through this commission or through the council, and how we address that with committee and commission and so forth, because I don't know if I missed an email or y'all just assumed and knew, because we had talked about this before, about how much I also, like Councilman Rutherford, wanted to do this for the GSD in my district. So I am very much supportive of this, and I would encourage commissioners to support it as well. And Chair, I would just bring to the commission's attention, because it's something that I have had to engage quite often, because my district, District 34 in Southwest Nashville, is inclusive of 2/3 of Oak Hill, all of Forest Hills, and is adjacent to the city of Belmead. When we went to 25 miles per hour on neighborhood streets in the USD, I did reach out to the city of Forest Hills and worked with NDOT staff for all those streets that actually, like, they literally start in the Metro USD, but then with the same name and nobody really knows the difference, then they go into a satellite city. To encourage those satellite cities in kind of a pilot concept, would they partner with us? And as we made that change, might they also consider effectuating that change? There is some resistance, I would say, not among the citizenry, but it is something that we're going to need to be intentional about in speaking with our satellite city partners, because I think as long as it was sort of, USD, GSD, not that citizens ever really mentally make that distinction like council members do, but because the GSD was still at 30 and the satellite cities were as well, there was at least some of that continuity. And now the satellite cities really will be outliers. And so I think just as far as communication, for those of us that serve satellite cities, it will be important for us to have that dialogue as we move forward with this. So again, just want to commend staff, Councilman Rutherford, all the colleagues that I've likewise heard, Councilman Rutherford, that want to do this, and thank staff for the research on the change in the USD. And I fully support this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion to proceed, or you have a question?
Yeah, no, I was going to make a motion, Chairman.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve resolution number RS 2023.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So it is passed. Thank you, council member. Thank you. And thank you, council member, and also thank you, staff, for moving this forward. So I remember when we did the 25 in the urban services, and it's a good step forward. So thank you. Okay, getting back on our agenda item, the next item is 5.01, which is modification of time parking restrictions on the east side of 3rd Avenue North near 1414 3rd Avenue North, requested by CSDG on behalf of Astor Development. I understand some folks are here from 1414. Okay. All right, staff, please.
Yeah, this was a location where we had bike lanes, and we had a parking restriction down this corridor. And so the development is actually placing parking beyond the curb, and we're just going to do a carve out with the signing. And so we have to bring that before you.
You'd like, yes, you'd state your name for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Kate McDonald, CSDG. I'm a civil engineer representing the owner, 2305 Klein Avenue. We agree with the staff report, all staff comments, but we're here to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Is there any discussion, questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a first. Is there a second? Second. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. It's been approved. Thank you very much for your time today. The next item is a authorization for the permanent closure of Chest Neely Drive to vehicular traffic from Natchez Trace to 25th Avenue South, requested by Vanderbilt University. And I think some folks from Vanderbilt are here. Staff? We'll let you guys go first.
Good afternoon. Good to see you all again. Thank you, Chairman Green and the rest of the commission members. I'm Michael Briggs, Director of Mobility at Vanderbilt University, and I've got my colleague, Eben Cathy, who is with our Government Community Relations section with us today. Before you, we've got a request to permanently close Jesse Lee Drive to vehicular traffic only, and this would be from Natchez Trace to 25th Avenue South. This is a critical spine within our campus, connecting two ends of campus east to west, right through our athletics neighborhood. Next slide. We've had quite a bit of history before you all and with Public Works and with now NDOT looking at the street. We did a bike lane pilot in 2020. And got approval through Public Works at the time to conduct that in the spring of 2021. The Traffic and Parking Commission also authorized permanent relocation of on-street parking meters later that year based on the feedback that we got by doing the bike pilot. Since that time, we've continued to explore the future of this area of campus. We've submitted to NDOT in the summer of last year a vehicular closure traffic study for their review. And then we have begun construction on the south end zone. So if you go out there today, it is closed off, but it's a permitted construction closure at this time. So our future vision for the area is really to emphasize the walking, biking trips through this portion of campus. It was developed really heavily oriented around vehicular traffic. That's still important on game days, but to really integrate it within campus, we really would like to restrict public vehicular traffic through this area. So it fits a lot of our vision that we have contained in future VU. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the proposed improvements with it being closed to vehicular traffic. So that's just a concept plan still with some details to be worked out on that. Next slide. So again, our request is just to close permanently vehicular traffic along this portion of Jess Neely between Natchez Trace and 25th Avenue. And we're available for additional questions.
All right, go ahead.
So is this going to be open at all, like baseball season? You know, it's important. Is this opening up for like football games, or is it going to be permanently closed? What do you all want?
So we want to keep it permanently open for bikes and peds, so to always be able to get through. But for public vehicular traffic, close it down. Yep.
Councilmember.
Thank you. I'm very glad to see this and that it will be multimodal and bike ped predominantly. May I ask, though, in closing it from a public maintenance standpoint, so on, Transportation Infrastructure Committee, we're always looking, streets that are adopted for public maintenance and so forth. So at this commission, if we were to vote for in support of the closure or, however you want to term it, what happens from a maintenance perspective and responsibility standpoint?
I'll let NDOT staff respond.
Yeah, we are working with Vanderbilt on actually a memorandum of understanding between the two parties. There will be some maintenance responsibilities that will be NDOT's, but there will also be some other infrastructure that will be the responsibility of Vanderbilt to maintain that are part of the streetscape that they will be deploying as part of this project. So we are working with Metro Legal on that arrangement.
Okay, so just to clarify, it's an MOU, and we're not going to.
It will be I'm sorry, I misspoke.
The
it
right
will be
away?
more of a. No, we are abandoning. We are closing this to vehicle traffic. We are not abandoning it as right of way, but there will be encroachments that are granted to Vanderbilt through the formal process of encroachments. So through that process, we will also work on a partnership agreement between Vanderbilt and Metro as far as some of the infrastructure that they are actually investing in deploying out there, but also the maintenance of the street as well. We are intending to maintain, the asphalt, the pavement on the street.
Metro is going to maintain that.
Correct.
And why is that?
So, through the life of the project, we will be maintaining the surface of the road, but there are other elements that will be included as part of Vanderbilt's project when they're actually talking about pervious pavers and other materials that will be the responsibility of Vanderbilt to maintain. It will be a partnership agreement between both Vanderbilt and NDOT.
So I guess my confusion comes a little bit in, again, fully supportive of this. I think this is conceptually a great thing. I am thinking about it just from a practical standpoint and then also being forward-looking. I mean, you all as a major university with a whole lot of street grid and, a massive endowment and, capacity to maintain. But I think we will be seeing colleagues over time with major institutions and elsewhere. I hope we are doing more of this in the city, right? Kind of opening up streets to bike ped. And so, the process colleagues often kind of coming through council, right, of whether it's abandonment of right-of-way or maintenance of easement or who's maintaining it. I appreciate that for this, you all are effectuating a specific agreement to this one segment of the street, but I guess I would ask Mr. Freeze as to, and everything is context sensitive, but as to replicability, right? If we're doing this in the future, I see it's doing a lot of like, oh, okay, we're going to work this out and you maintain and I maintain and we got the agreement and y'all do this and we do this and we do that and we did it. Like, so that's great. We're working together, but like, again, 526 square miles. So I just wonder if we're not, from a process standpoint, I mean, why don't we just maintain some public kind of right of way, but then we abandon it to Vanderbilt from a maintenance perspective? Like for something that has this many really cool on-street elements and traffic calming and pervious pavers and is really going to connect y'all's campus. I don't understand why Metro's putting themselves in the middle to kind of maintain the asphalt, respectfully.
So we have talked about several options, council member, and then this was the option that we arrived upon as far as granting an encroachment. We felt it was important to own the property that this street resides on for the future to ensure that it will never be blocked to pedestrian and vehicle traffic. Outside of having an agreement, we still wanted to have the actual owned property to guarantee that in the future. There's concern we can't predict the future, so there could be a time if Vanderbilt, no offense to Vanderbilt, but if they own the property, they could decide in the future to actually build on the street as well. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to ensure that it is always remains open for pedestrian and cyclist traffic.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Again, maintaining public access as a throughway, but also just from a fiscal standpoint, do you think those have to go hand in hand? I mean, we can't maintain a public kind of right-of-way or easement, right? We can't maintain a pedestrian easement through there as a city and not have to maintain it ourselves. That's just a question I would have from a fiscal standpoint. I don't know if Vanderbilt may have a response to that. I'm just interested from just kind of a practical fiscal standpoint.
Right.
Question, is there another street on Vanderbilt that's representative of this? I mean, when you did your West End, where the fraternities were, and, Vanderbilt Place got converted from asphalt to pervious stone, and you put up bollards to keep people from going in and out. Is that similar to what you're planning to do on Chestnut?
Correct. The ultimate design is very similar. I think the difference here would be in the West End neighborhood example. So with 24th and the pavers there, that was abandoned as being a public street. This would be the opposite in that it would keep public right-of-way. It would just be closed to vehicular traffic.
Chairman, I've got a silly question, but, I always like to, state the obvious. Historically for staff, what kind of precedent is being placed today I guess I'm kind of just summarizing Councilwoman Henderson's question is, so like if Belmont comes and asks for the same thing, historically, what have we done in the past?
So we've done it both. We've actually done both approaches in the past. We've actually abandoned property, but we've actually also maintained right of way. So,
And I would assume the goal is to maintain the right of way, not to give up what would be the public right of way, right?
That is
street, right? Thank you.
And could I ask, Chair, just as a point of clarification, Mr. Freeze, can you, for the commission, public right-of-way, right of pedestrian easement, like, can you kind of go through what those are and how those align with obligation to maintain, pave, et cetera?
I can. Yeah, so kind of laying out the options. So an abandonment would go through as us just abandoning the right-of-way completely and turning that over to whoever is requesting that. That goes actually before council as a mandatory referral. It would go through 3 readings of council. And there's actually an application process that has to be supported by the council member in that area. So they would ask for that, and we'd go through 3 readings, and then staff would evaluate if that's a good idea or not, how it impacts operations, traffic operations in the area, if it's a street that's really going to be detrimental, not having that flow movement. For that, we analyze all those things, and then we submit that. It is signed by the department, but also signed by the planning department, water services, signed by Metro Fire. They all review that as part of the mandatory referral process before it then comes back as an ordinance that goes before council. So that would be the abandonment route that we would go through. So for this, we are actually talking about just setting this up so we are restricting access to vehicle traffic. So we're going before traffic and parking to do so, where we can, traffic and parking has the authority to restrict the vehicle movement on that street. So we're going before them. So it would go, you would approve that, and we could do that this week, with approval of traffic and parking. We can restrict vehicle traffic, and it can be open for pedestrian. And then Vanderbilt then would need to go through and have an encroachment for their property that they would be installing within the public right-of-way. So that process goes through readings of council as well. Encroachment goes through a mandatory referral process. They would submit an application to do so with the support of their council member. It would go through, and they would submit their plans and what they're asking for to place in the right-of-way. And if it is an aerial encroachment, which a lot come through is just aerial encroachment signs, for example, that actually goes through 1 reading of council as a resolution. If it's something on the ground or underground, it would go through 3 readings of council. So it would go through council as an encroachment that we would go through and grant them the space to be there on the right-of-way. So yes, as far as our responsibility would still be to maintain that right-of-way. However, we are working with Vanderbilt on a partnership between Vanderbilt on any infrastructure that they deploy in there, like that would be outside of our typical maintenance routine to do so. Like, for example, the streetscape items, the brick pavers, anything associated with that is outside our routine maintenance.
Okay, Chair. I mean, I guess what I would just then ask, Chair, is I don't want to overcomplicate something that's a great and good thing to do, okay? But I would like us to think about, it just seems like from an agreement standpoint, respectfully to Vanderbilt, with so many encroachments in the space, which I imagine will have, a fine detailed design. I mean, Vanderbilt, you all have a very high standard for your campus and your public right-of-ways, and that is commendable. And I really appreciate the direction in which you are moving. But as I look at this design, NDOT, and all the incorporation of, some really great things, I just question NDOT's ability to kind of effectuate its typical maintenance routine of things. And so I appreciate that we want to keep public access, right? And like we want that to be a throughway. We want to be able as a government to secure that would never be kind of taken away, or, things change over time, leadership changes. So I support that. But I also think in an effort to maintain that, we should not kind of put ourselves in a position that we have to just operationally pave, maintain, all that kind of stuff when Vanderbilt has the resources to do so.
Yeah.
So,
So a lot of that is subject to future negotiations with Vanderbilt when we.
okay, so what
develop that
you're
partnership.
looking for here is our blessing to take this approach, and then you're going to effectuate an MOU that this commission will see or council will see, or when will that happen?
We can bring it before the commission if the commission would like to see that, but it would not be typically something that would come before the commission.
I know a commissioner wants to ask a question.
Well, I think the maintenance piece opens up a whole another can of worms in the sense, I guess who's maintaining the road now?
Metro is.
Metro is 100%. So, and I understand that Vanderbilt, you all have plans for this area that's way bigger than this street. That, you're doing a large utility project on 25th, on Highland, on Garland, like everything's going to get blown up over there. So I guess the first piece to this on the maintenance would be, how does that relationship work? I understand the memorandum would be for just Neely only, but it seems like there's a bigger streetscapes project to this to where, I've seen some plans where the right-of-way stays with the NDOT standard, and then there's pavers from the right-of-way up to buildings or whatnot. So, I think a broader, if we can, there's construction documents out there for the entire project. So, this one memorandum for this section seems okay, but I also know that the construction process is years out. So, if we can see something of what this memorandum would look like for this as a baseline for the rest of the projects, because this isn't going to be the last time that we see it. I think everybody's pro this, but then, when you look at the delineation of responsibilities, like just in this photo, like if there's a crack in between the stadium and the building and it's on the left side of the pavers and Vanderbilt says it's NDOT's, right? But it's affecting all the traffic through there. It snowballs into something that's
Yeah. I will say this, we do have a current license agreement. Actually, Vanderbilt already has.
Go ahead, keep going.
Vanderbilt already has some pavers out there that they actually maintain that are in our right of way and other places around campus. So they've gone through and have an encroachment for those materials in there, and they maintain those as well. So it's not something that's atypical.
Okay. And that's appreciated. I guess for the commission to just blindly volunteer to close a road with the shared maintenance without the full understanding of, the entire project at the entire campus. There was a KCI closure study performed. Is that
You're talking about the
it was
traffic?
relevant enough to put on here? What was found there with regards to this?
For the operations. So there was a traffic study actually performed as part of their work, and that they've shared that with staff. And the impacts of closing this are not significant as far as the operational characteristics of the area. So we did get to a good place as far as our concurrence from this.
So that's great. I guess I would share a portion of, the memorandum is great, but the precedent, as you spoke, you go to do the same thing on Highland. I said, well, it's the same thing as we did on Just Neely. Let's just do the same thing, and it doesn't apply. Mm-hmm. That's my only kind of reluctance to just say, go ahead. 100% want it. Just don't want to create this to where it's the, what we use for future situations like this. And then I guess the only other piece was, the walking, biking, and all that, around the city, closures of roads and right-of-ways and all that has been somewhat of an issue. The alternate pedestrian path or during construction, how are people getting to the baseball stadium? How are people getting to the football field? Is it just shut down to where, we're walking all the way around? What does that look like as an alternate pedestrian route during construction? During game day, not during game days, or what have you.
So they will be required to submit a closure, even for pedestrian movement, when they start construction. So they will have to go through that same process for the long-term closure and have a diversion plan in place. So that will go through the typical permitting process for when they arrive at that point and ready to move forward with construction.
How long are we thinking for this road to be shut down before?
So this is a permanent closure to vehicular traffic. So public
Until we can
vehicular
open it up for
access.
peds and bikes and all that.
So construction will take probably 2 years in this area. So in addition to the work that you see related to the proposed south end zone area, so that's the southern part of the football stadium, this is where all of the utilities sort of come together along Jess Neely. So there's significant water and sewer upgrades, including separation of stormwater and sewer. And it's the largest project that has happened in the Kerrigan Basin to date. So it'll take about 2 years for this to be complete.
So during those phases, I'm sure there'll be times when it will be closed to pedestrian and
Yes, I'm sorry. I failed to mention it too. So right now we have signs up for bikes and peds to get through there. There's been a shift in some of the fencing probably in the last month related to the south end zone. Bicyclists were able to get through on the paved asphalt part of the street. It's now just up onto the sidewalk. Once more construction occurs further to the east towards the baseball stadium later this year, there will be detour routes in place posted. There's also utility construction that is occurring on Natchez Trace just north of Jess Neely that's being coordinated with this, and then also portions of 25th Avenue involving the utility project. So you are correct in that this is one piece that's happening. On both Natchez Trace and 25th Avenue, we aren't pursuing any changes to vehicular traffic permanently. So those will still remain open as public streets for cars.
so I will say, when we develop the partnership agreement, we can bring that before traffic and parking for you to see that partnership agreement. I mean, we have no issue with that, bringing that before this
Commissioner
committee.
Yeah, you have a question.
Yes, just could you explain the significance of the triangle that you had on the other slide? So there's still vehicular traffic on there. I'm a little confused as to, I understand the priority is lower, but does that mean that at some point it'll still be allowed public transit or not at all?
So no, not in this specific instance. So this triangle here is showing what we're prioritizing on campus holistically. So try and encourage more trips by walking and biking, access to bus, and then de-emphasizing trips by single occupancy cars driving alone. Yep.
I will say one other thing. So Councilmember Cash is actually, he couldn't make it here today, but he actually has supported this process since the start.
Okay. Yes, Councilman.
So I guess my question is just one as to kind of orders of operation. I want to be real clear. I think this is a great idea. Like I support this being closed to vehicular traffic. I recognize and appreciate that we don't want to get in a situation like for the new sound stadium or, projects that had sort of greenways, but then on game days were closed and kind of reduced mobility, and that often those things from an MOU perspective have to be worked out relative to game days and so forth. I think I'm just interested to understand kind of the order of operations, right? Because I don't want Vanderbilt or NDOT to read this as this commission doesn't support this good work. I also just want us to kind of think about, though, from a maintenance perspective and the MOU, like I'm interested as a council member as we try to kind of, I don't want to put this on Vanderbilt, but as we just sort of replicate this across, other places at Vanderbilt, Belmont, all our other, Athens of the South locations. So I guess it surprises me maybe that Are you all saying you have to have this first from us before you can even proceed with the MOU? And is it perhaps maybe the motion, Chair, is to approve this conditioned upon you all coming back with the MOU? Because I feel like I want to understand the language that citizens in the city secure the ability to cut through, but also there's so many great improvements here. I don't really understand how NDOT is going to have the bandwidth, all due respect, to maintain all these, pretty trees and pavers and all that kind of stuff, or if y'all are just talking about stormwater grates and what happens under the road and all that.
Most of it is, for us, is going to be under the road. What's on top, and that's why the public-private partnership is going to be laid out, and that's something that will come out before council. What's before this board for consideration is to eliminate the ability for vehicular traffic to happen on the roadway, and that it becomes strictly a pedestrian and bicycle corridor. And then through the public-private partnership and the process that we will go through, which will come before council, not necessarily this board, but we'd be more than happy to bring that back before y'all if you wish. But the details of that public-private partnership will go before the council, and that's where it is. So there is some utilities under the ground that we're responsible for. So that's really what kind of inlays, as well as, but the bulk of what you're seeing on top and what they're actually doing, actually asking for, as mentioned, we have this in other places with Vanderbilt, and we do that through an encroachment, but they maintain it. So it'll be this pretty much the same concept.
Okay, I appreciate that. And that kind of gets to the crux of it. And I wish maybe somebody had said earlier, maybe I missed, that the MOU will come through council.
Absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't specific, but yeah, any contract that is signed by Metro has to go before council.
So, and just to clarify something real quick, it's not going to be a memorandum of understanding. It's really not an MOU. It's a public-private partnership or an encroachment. So that's how it'll be spelled out, and it actually is something that'll be approved through council. They're ready to start now, so we're going to work through this with them to make sure we don't delay their construction time schedule, which I promised. And then here I would not, which I promised him I will not. We are going to make sure that we meet their time schedule, but this is the first necessary step to move to the next step. Yes, but all of that will actually be coming back before council for final approval. So thank you.
Okay.
So I guess to be clear, the purpose of it coming to us now is because you need this to then move forward with the construction.
Correct.
Do the work.
Yes, sir. We need to abandon the ability for vehicular traffic to be on this street, which we are in support of. And now we will actually move into the public-private partnership, which we're working through. And then the requirements, the procedural requirements that we would meet to get to there, so that it's all spelled out as who's responsible for what, who's going to do what, how it's going to be maintained, everything that's going to come into play, including our right to be able to utilize this roadway because we have major utilities along the roadway stretch.
And not holding you to a date, but this, what we see on the screen is about 4 years out.
Yes, final build out would probably be 3+ years out.
And this graphic here is what you're envisioning happening to this street. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's still some moving pieces. So the south end zone is fully funded. The elements on the south side are still within design.
Okay. And your parking lot behind there, behind the right field baseball stadium will stay?
Yes. So it will actually stay open for now. We are eliminating one parking lot that's in between McGugan and the tennis courts. That's currently used by mostly athletic staff, but we do have directly across 25th Avenue there at Highland, there is a large parking structure there that can accommodate them.
Okay. Any other questions?
Chair, I apologize.
Okay. We'll let Mr. Teppel, then we'll go.
Thank you. And again, I'm fully supportive of this. Again, I just like to state the obvious, very black and white. So it seems to me like this proposal is for us to close the road so you guys can build the fancy walkway, right? And I see on the plans that there's going to be improvements to the stadium and south of the stadium. I'm just curious, are you guys really asking us to shut down the street so you can do the construction on that whole area, or you're asking us to shut down the street to make the street pretty?
I can speak to that. So we are not asking for specifically the purpose for construction. We are asking to just limit vehicle traffic on there so we can use it as pedestrian and bicycle movements only on there. That's that's solely what we're asking for. It's
Yeah, just to be clear, we do have a multimodal policy that everybody has to follow, including Vanderbilt. So when you go and want to utilize the public right-of-way for a construction project and you're going to have that closed for more than 7 days, you actually have to go through a process, fill out an application requesting a variance. It goes before a committee that reviews it and says, yes, we agree with it, or maybe you can do this, or maybe you can do that, because our ultimate goal is to maintain as much of the access that will be maintained. So in this case, if they do want to shut it down for construction, whether it be for bicycle and ped, because we are favorable to moving forward with eliminating vehicular traffic and the design that they have, and that this become a safe pedestrian and bicycle roadway network. They're still, if they're going to shut it down for construction, they have to go through the multimodal no matter what. So we do have a policy in place that kind of manages that process. That is heavily vetted, not just with staff, but also with outside companies as well. We have several folks that are with construction companies as well as developers that sit on that committee as well. So it is well vetted, just to make sure that we do not have someone coming in and shutting down right away that paralyzes how we move in the city.
And I appreciate that clarification, because it would seem to me that the Pretty Road would be the last thing to be completed after all this, right? Because that's what you're telling us. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yes, council member.
I think in an effort to move forward, and I think what I would like to just add to the motion would be that when the public-private encroachment, the future agreement is worked out, just for point of information for the commission, okay? So not conditioning anything, but just with the expectation with this motion to approve that we would expect, whether staff, yourselves, however you see appropriate, kind of coming back to us and narrating a little bit about kind of how you worked out who does what. And then I would also recommend to staff, respectfully, there's nothing in this staff analysis other than KCI did a study. So a lot of the questions that come up here among our colleagues is because there's not much information in the analysis. So some of these things, kind of anticipating what questions and concerns might be, can go into the analysis potentially, and then that kind of gets it out there a little bit. So I think colleagues would just like to kind of add that, Chair, to the motion for a
You stole a little bit of my thunder, because one of the things I was going to suggest as a lesson learned out of this is I think a little more context would have been helpful, because I think most everyone's familiar with Vanderbilt and some of the work you've done. It was unclear if you were looking to do this like Vanderbilt Place, the West End Neighborhood Project, were you looking to do? And I think there was some lack of context here that would have been helpful. So we have you formalized your motion yet, Council, so we can have a so we can move forward?
My motion is to approve with the request once your collaborative documents, MOUs, encroachments, public-private agreement is effectuated, that you would come back to this commission just by way of point of information. So an item on the agenda just to share how that was effectuated, who's going to do what, how that all got worked out, because I think it will be illustrative to this commission in the future, whether at Vanderbilt or otherwise, kind of what our orders of operation are on doing something like this, which again, I think we all think is a really positive, good thing to do.
Very pretty street.
What'd you say?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second. Legal counsel, do we have a clear resolution?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, just want to make, it's important that we're legal, so when we walk out of here, everybody knows what we've agreed to. Okay, all right. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? No. All right. Thank you. And I think there's some lessons learned for all of us. Okay. Next item on the agenda is an authorization of a new traffic signal at Mount View Road and Old Franklin Road requested by NDOT. And if anyone's been out here, Okay, all right.
Move to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? Council member.
I think my question would be, in addition to the signalization, are there any striping improvements? I mean, this just looks like super wide, super fast, we do anything to kind of calm this and make it safer beyond the signalization?
We can definitely look into that. I can get more details, but I'm sure we'll definitely do some striping out here.
Because staff, I mean, what I've typically seen when they do signals is they tend to go out and do a lot of elaborate work. They just don't go hang a light on a pole. It's and timers, and then it looks like there's usually some street paint that gets done, and there's.
And if I could just add, now whenever we're doing any type of this work, it's also done through the Vision Zero lens. So everything does get, that gets kind of plotted out by one group, and then Vision Zero takes a look at it and what is the safety elements we need to apply based on our data, everything we have. So yes, we do that now for every project that we're looking at. So I just wanted to add that real quickly.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Chair, just by way of follow-up question, can I inquire as it relates to intersections? Because I know historically, right, we were throughput, go fast as you can. Obviously, intersections that have been problematic from a crash history and standpoint, when you talk about striping and everything that you're looking at from a Vision Zero standpoint, does that include as you proceed through the intersection that you are narrowing that? I mean, like, what's on the menu for Vision Zero when you come to improve an intersection like this? Just short list, real quick, kind of what's on the menu just for the community's edification beyond the signal improvement.
Absolutely, great question. So there's really a long list of improvements that we look at. We look at the crossings, making sure our pedestrian accommodations are fair, that it's clearly marked. We have signalization that we need to have on either sides. We add audible, signal pedestrian alert, so those who are hearing impaired can actually hear when the phasing is on for them to walk. We will look at leading pedestrian intervals. We will look at where the stop bars are located to make sure they're adequately spaced in front of the pedestrian crosswalks as well. You're actually required to have at least 4-foot buffer in that space. We will look at bicycle accommodations at that intersection, how it meshes with our walk-bike plan. Where we have curb ramps, we will address ADA compliance. We were required every time we touch it, something, and it's a good thing. Every time that we touch to do an improvement like this, we upgrade to ADA compliancy. So if there's anything that is not ADA compliant, we will address it as part of a project like this. So that includes the ramps, pedestrian ramps, the signal indications for that. It includes the cross slopes on the sidewalks, in advance. So we will upgrade all of that as part of the signal process. It's really a long list that we work on. With Vision Zero, I can say that we have identified over 100 locations as far as signalized locations that are on our priority, that are on our high injury network, that we are addressing as part of Vision Zero. This doesn't happen to be one of them. This is not a signalized intersection currently. It's actually a flashing beacon currently. So we are upgrading that to an actual signal with this. We did the signal warrants as a request of the hub. We've had a lot of hub requests for this, and we took our engineers out there, did an analysis, collected the turn and movement counts, and found that, hey, it is warranted as traffic signal. But step one is to get an approval before traffic and parking to actually deploy a traffic signal at this location.
And
that's where we're at.
Just add, anytime the community has any concerns about an intersection or anything, the best way to bring it to our attention, so we do take a look at it through the Vision Zero lens, is to report it through Hub Nashville. Because as Brad had mentioned, we do have some requests that have come through Hub Nashville that we've identified need some improvement, and we've made them part of our Vision Zero initiative, whether it's a long-term or a quick build.
And again, Chair, I appreciate that clarification. Again, not saying it has to be a long list, but in the analysis, I would encourage you all just put a little bit more in there, right? That's where the community's looking. That's where we want to kind of have the record and kind of show the work. So to the extent that, when you come through and you do an intersection change like this, I think it's helpful, whether you want to refer people or us out to a website that every time we touch an intersection, these are the things that we do, whether or not this was on the Vision Zero high injury network or not. I just think those key points of context and kind of starting to standardize those through the analysis is important. Thank you.
All right. So we have a first and a second. Is there any further question or discussion? Okay. Barring none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. This has been approved. Thank you, everyone. And maybe it'd be helpful, just, whatever, hyperlinks to standards for the future. All right. There's a set of items here that are 6.01 to 6.0105 that relate to new smart parking meters at multiple locations. I think these relate to the North Capitol. Is that the View project? So I think we're still in consultation. So I think it's been recommended by staff that we indefinitely defer these items. So is there a motion to indefinitely defer?
I move to indefinitely defer.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions? Okay. All in favor?
I just want to add, Mr. Chair, that we do hope that we'll have this back before y'all in about 2 months. We're waiting on a master plan parking study for them to provide and review to pick back up our conversation because we have met with them outside. We've met with them on property and did a walkthrough. They're supposed to be sending us their parking master plan. Wanted enough time to review that and bring that back. We weren't sure if that'd be in 1 month or 2 months, so we just left it indefinitely, but we are hoping in the next few months we'll be back before you.
All right.
Question, Ms. Alcorn, who's they that you're waiting on them?
Boyle.
Master plan,
Yeah,
thank you.
Boyle is the development company for the Capitol View area, and they actually did a pretty in-depth master planning, parking master plan study. And so we wanted to take a really, in fairness, and also it was really quite intriguing for me with some parking background. I really wanted to understand the way the study was done, what it was look like and stuff. So I'm just waiting on that. I'm hoping I'll get it the beginning part of this week, so I'll have a chance to really dive into it and give me the right amount of time to really go through and understand the study, the analysis that was used, and the outcome. Might be something we want to consider replicating somewhere else in the city, given that we're moving toward trying to reduce the amount of parking, and that's really something that they have done. But then how does your on-street parking work with it? And I just wanted to see that relationship that they had explained, and why it was built out that way is something very different than what I'm used to, but I was very engaged by it and I was interested. So I'm waiting on that study. I'm anticipating, they had told me on Friday I'd have it the early part of this week, so I'm looking forward to reviewing it.
Help me again, though. Is this something from the state capitol, or is this part of Metro government, or is this a consulting firm that state government hired?
Capitol View Development, which was built out by Boyle, actually hired Walker Parking Consultants at the time. It's just Walker Consultants now, to go do an overall master parking program for their two developments and HCA's development, and how they can share the property and not necessarily overbuild the parking. And I found that very intriguing. I think that is a consideration that we need to think about as a city when you talk about smart growth and development. That's something I'd like to think about when we talk about, transportation demand management policies and stuff. So I got very intrigued and I wanted to read it. So I'm waiting on that study, and then just giving me a little bit of time to review it and then add my thoughts. Then we would bring this back before y'all at a later date. But I wasn't sure if it would be in a month or 2 months, so I was giving myself a little bit of wiggle room. But I'm hoping I'll have this back before y'all in the next couple of months. Thank you.
I think we had a motion that was and seconded to indefinitely defer. Yes.
Yes, but this was to come back before y'all on today's date, so we wanted to bring this back before y'all. We would ask that you defer this one as well. It is right now we are doing outreach on options and opportunities based on the data and the outcomes and the findings where we are in the study today. We are looking to do that community outreach over the next few months, be back with a draft recommendation plan that would then have to be also exercised with our stakeholders in the community as well, and then a finalized report in August. So until we know exactly what we're doing, we just don't feel this is the right time to move it forward. So we're asking for y'all to maybe defer it. Are we asking indefinitely until we get the Connect Downtown done? Or
Just till after the study, but
Yeah,
I mean, if we
so
wanted to say a month, it could be July or something.
This is to try the ongoing thing related to bike lanes.
Yes, sir.
So I move to defer until the completion of the Connect Downtown curb study.
In July, okay. Council member.
I don't think that motion yet has a second, but I was going to.
First, is there a second?
I was going to propose a slight alternate to that.
All right, what was going to be your slate?
I was going to propose to a meeting certain. With all due respect, this Connect Downtown has stretched over quite a long time. There is a lot of interest in building the bikeable core network. And I think I want to respect the process with Connect Downtown and how this all fits together. But I prefer to defer to a date certain. If you are going to be finishing the plan, having the report, I might suggest, but I would defer to the director to the September meeting of the commission, rather than just saying till the study's complete, colleagues, because the study can always be continuing on the study, and it's helpful to members of the community that care a lot about it to know it's on this date. Even if that changes. If it needs to change, fine, but I would like it to be to a date certain.
My understanding that we were looking till July. Is that correct, staff?
July would be good with us, but if you want to make it September.
September, I think, would be very appropriate. We are hoping to have the draft report finalized in August. That would give it time for us to then bring it back for you with how, not only whether we are going to proceed forward with it, the bike lanes, but when, where, what, and how. So I think that would give us enough time to exercise it, since this has been a long-going conversation. It'd have a chance for us to get the report, pull it together, do the community outreach, and be ready to either go or not go, and bring that back in September. So I would be comfortable with September.
Commissioner Woods, would you like to modify your motion?
I'd like to modify my motion to defer this until our September 2023 meeting.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a second. Okay. Any further discussion or comments?
Just one point of clarification question. So at that time in August, will you then have a new proposal for the core bikeable network and how commerce gets connected and what the north-south spine is and which streets are one-way or two-way? Like that's what everybody has been waiting on. And is that what we're going to be seeing in August?
We should have the recommendations in August. Well, actually, we should have those recommendations back in June that allow it to be fully vetted with the community again, so that when in August, when we get a draft plan, it's kind of been cooked.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair. The Connect Downtown study is also connected to the moratorium on the valet parking, correct? So
Yes, ma'am.
with this, are we saying that that is still enacted until September,
Yes, ma'am.
when we told everybody March?
We had hoped in March that we would, well, if you remember, we did make a request to extend the moratorium, which I believe was on last month's meeting.
It was to May.
To May. Thank you. So we were hoping, and we are a little bit behind in the study, and we've gotten a little, just with trying to get to the right stakeholders, have the right conversation, and make sure that we're truly getting the right stuff plucked. We've gotten a little bit behind. We're trying right now to make up some of that time, but just to give us a little bit of wiggle room. Right now it's May. We may have to come back and ask for you to consider extending it a few more months.
Okay, it's just that community has been waiting a very long time
Yes,
to
I
have something
understand
done,
that.
so that would just be my concern with it.
Right. But I would hate to say, have y'all do something and then we actually take it away. As I had mentioned in June, we're hoping we'll have the draft recommendations. And so that's really going to be telling us what the recommendation is about how we build out the downtown, what it looks like. Where do we want transit priority? Where do we want mobility priorities? Where do we want loading and unloading priorities? How do we want to create this movement, safer movement in the downtown core? We're hoping to have those draft recommendations in June, but then exercise those recommendations with the community. We still got to go back out to the businesses and make sure that they're going to be part of the solution. We got to go, and that includes our valet operators as well. So I hate to give them something that we would then turn around and say, I'm sorry, we're going to take this away. And even though we have the authority and the right to do that, I would just rather not do that. I'd rather say, y'all need to wait. I will tell you right now, when valet companies are approaching us, and especially in the development process, we're telling them to figure out how to do it on property. We're not allowing them to consider the right of way anymore. So as development's coming through, we're saying, sorry, you have to do valet on property. You cannot consider the right of way. Just because there is so much need for the use of the right of way, and we're not quite sure what that needs to look at yet. Thank you.
Question on the Connect Downtown State. Do you have any kind of a draft that you've taken to stakeholders yet?
So, yes, sir. Thank you. As a matter of fact, right now, I wouldn't say we have a draft. What we're asking of the stakeholders right now are some options for consideration. So if we were to do transit priority corridors, where would they want it to be? If you're interested in mobility corridors, where in the downtown would you want it? So that sort of goes to your active transportation, which is your bikeway and your pedestrian movement. If you are going to be loading and unloading, what time do you want that? Where do you want those priorities? How do you want it to feel? So right now that is actually available out online. You can actually go, I didn't bring the website, so I apologize, but we'll circulate the website for the board. But you can go into Nashville.gov and go under transportation, and you will see it. It's actually on one of our banners, so it pops up. I apologize, I do not have the website. I looked at all the material today, but the storyboard, the options, the opportunities, that is actually already spelled out in all of that. So a lot of right now is the conversation is, as a community, what is it that you want to prioritize? What do you want us to look at? That'll feed into the recommendations that'll come back in June.
Okay. So I think we have a first and a second. And before you leave, council member, is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, council member. I know you have to run. Okay. Thank you. The next item is an update on the parking program.
Yes, and I'll be short, but I'm excited to share with y'all that last week we actually went live in the Ann Dallas Dudley area. We actually turned the meters on, new signage is up, and people were out there actually using the app, also the QR code, pay by text, and the meter itself, and feeding it. So we're going to continue pushing forward on getting signs up, and as we get signs up, we're removing the single space meters now, and we're turning on the system, so it's working. So I just wanted to give you an update. We are actually pressing forward, and it's pretty exciting, and the community so far has been very receptive to all the new technology, so we're super excited. Did I miss anything, gentlemen? Thumbs up. So just wanted to give you all an update and let you know where we're at, so thank you.
Thank you for that update. Anybody have any questions for the director? Okay, thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval of sidewalk vending regulation restricted area. Staff?
Yeah, this was last month, and Councilmember Henderson requested some additional notice to the public. So we did mail a letter to the vendors, which was part of your packet at the very back, and also emailed to you that letter. And also with the letter was on the back of it was a map, this map that you're viewing. And this was really just to clarify how law enforcement would handle vending on those bounding streets, Union 8th and Veterans Boulevard. And so we clarified in here, and also the regulation that you all approved, some changes that were needed last month. We added in here the highlighted section, just clarifying, no vending on both sides of Union, 8th Avenue, and Korean Veterans Boulevard on the bounding streets.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Freeze.
I was going to add, so we talked about this during the last meeting. So it's really an issue of that bounding box in the center lines, where that boundary goes, whether it's in the middle of the road or to the opposite side. It was always the intention of the restricted area to be that way, but we clarified that with the map, and then with this policy, I will say that we sent over 300 letters to vendors who have been permitted in the past in there. So we felt like we've done quite a bit of outreach, as well as emails of the ones that we did have.
Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak about this matter? Fine. Okay, so we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a first. Is there a second? We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? None. It's been approved. Thank you. All right. The next item is 7.02, which is the policy on residential permit parking.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll take that one. I'm going to ask if we could move this to the next meeting. I apologize. I had not had the appropriate time in which to vet this with legal counsel, and therefore I didn't have a chance to get it out to y'all in advance, so I don't want to make any decisions on the slide. So I will follow up with legal counsel and get their final concerns and get that addressed, and then get this out to y'all way before next month, so that this could be a policy for consideration as we move forward. So I apologize.
Motion to move item to May's agenda.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
We have
My apologies.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Quick question. As a person who lives on a residential permit parking street, so is this going to be kind of incorporated into our whole smart parking type of thing, enforced in the same way, under the same kind of guidance, I
It
guess?
is our hope. However, having met with some neighborhoods, there are some special ways we need to handle the neighborhoods. So we do have a process on how to do that. Mainly, this policy is going to be what will warrant a residential parking permit program. Right now, it's approval of the council member and one application, and it's really not buying into the true need. In essence, when you're taking and putting up a residential parking permit program, you're privatizing the road. And in a court of law, you have to be very careful with that, because they're public roads. So you have to have quality of life as a part of it. And so we're putting all of that together, and that's really the policy. We're going to keep intact what's already done, but moving forward, it'll be drafting a policy that will kind of be applying based on y'all's approval. So that's what we'll bring forward, and that's why I really need legal to be buying in and get their 2 cents before I bring it before you. And I just dropped the ball, so my apologies again, but I'll have it before y'all.
Well, that'd be fine. I know people want to go, but just one comment I'd make, being on a street like that, I think there is residential permit parking streets. I think it's very unclear where those are.
Yes, sir.
So
That's part of it, the
part
signing.
of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think, I think our next item of business is to go home.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.